I'm Dave Prouse with the tech question of the day for March 10th, 2017, and we're talking about the topic of all-in-one device security. And we have snow today. I love snow. We've got snow. Just wanted to throw that in there. Here's the question. A small organization can only afford to purchase an all-in-one wireless router/switch. The organization has 3 wireless BYOD users and 2 wired web servers. Which of the following should the company configure to protect the servers from the user devices? And you're going to select the 2 best answers from the following. A. Create a server VLAN. B. Change the default HTTP port. C. Implement EAP-TLS to establish mutual authentication. D. Deny incoming connections to the outside router interface. E. Create an ACL for access to the servers. And F. Disable the physical switch ports. And you want to select the 2 best answers from this list. I'll give you a moment to look it over and pause the video, and I'll be back with the answer in just a bit. Okay, and we're back, and the best answers are going to be A, create a server VLAN, and E, create an ACL for access to the servers. Now, we only have that one device that we can purchase. That's it. We've got that all-in-one device, which, we'll just call it a router. And that connects out to the cloud, out to the internet. And over here, you've got connections wired to web servers. And you have wireless connections going out to the users, and we say BYOD users, meaning mobile devices, smartphones, tablets, whatever. So we'll call those BYOD. And we don't want the BYOD users to be able to connect to the web servers. So the best ways to go about this, create a server VLAN. If your device supports it, you can create a virtual local area network that houses those servers, those 2 servers, and separates them from those BYOD users. Or you could create separate VLANs for both. Now, another option instead of that would be to create a DMZ. Your all-in-one device might have the ability to make VLANs. It might not. But you could also try creating a DMZ that kind of separates the web servers from the rest of the LAN, whatever other wired or wireless connections are out there. So that's another possibility not listed there, but something I would probably look at first, to be honest with you. And the other one was create an ACL for access to the servers. And you'd create that ACL on the router. Now, if you have a cheaper Soho router, you're not going to be able to make an ACL, so that's not going to really work. But if you have something a little bit more advanced, a little bit more pricey, a little bit more enterprise, like a Cisco device, a basic Cisco device, you can write an ACL. And that's an access control list. And basically what you'd be doing is you'd be denying access for the users. And you would say you're not allowed to connect to the web servers. You deny them with an ACL at the router. So you create an ACL for access to the servers for those BYOD users so that they cannot connect. Those are the 2 best ways to do it in this case. Because the idea is, you have customers out on the cloud. And, customer. You want them to get in through your router and go to the web server. And who knows, view information, purchase stuff, I don't know. But you want them to get in. But there's really no reason for these BYOD users to connect to web servers. They're going to connect to some other server, somewhere else to get their data, which also might be wired to your router. Who knows? Who knows how it's set up? But they're going to connect to something internal on the LAN, not something that's considered to be internet present, or at least somewhat internet present. The way it looks here is, if these are wired right into the router, they're not directly facing the internet. So you'd have to do some work with that anyway to get people on the internet to see those web servers. But that's the idea. We want customers on the internet to be able to see the web servers, and you don't want the BYOD users internal to really be able to get in. So those are the best answers. Create a server LAN, VLAN, excuse me, and create an ACL for access to the servers. Now let's look at the other answers. B says change the default HTTP port. And that's not going to be correct in this case, but it is a possibility. It's not the best answer listed, but it is a possibility. Now, by default, your web servers, if they're using HTTP, you're going to use port 80. And, that's what you want normally for customers connecting through the internet. But you could change that default port. You could set some, outlandish port, some high-level port, who knows, 46792 or whatever you choose, internally on the servers. And then at the router, you do port forwarding so that the customers can still connect on 80 or 443 or whatever it is they connect on. But you do that port forwarding through the router, so 80 actually maps to 46792 or whatever you choose for your default port on the web server. That's kind of doing a workaround that would make it less likely that the BYOD users would be able to connect, but if they find out the port, they'd be able to connect. But it is a possibility. And again, like I say, you could use a DMZ, you could use port forwarding. There are other options here. But change the default HTTP port really isn't going to be the best because the BYOD users would possibly still be able to get in, and it might be more work for you in the long run anyways. The next one says implement EAP TLS to establish mutual authentication. Well, between who? Who is this mutual authentication being created between? The BYOD users and the web servers? We don't want that. We don't want mutual authentication. We don't really care about authentication here. What we really want is to block the BYOD users from access to the web servers. So I'm not really interested in the protocol EAP TLS. I'm not interested in authentication for the connection between these because there should be no connection. But I may be interested in EAP for, the web servers connecting to the router or the BYOD users connecting to the router or who knows what. Authentication is important, but not between these two entities. We don't want that connection at all. So C is out. D says deny incoming connections to the outside router interface. And outside is the key here. The outside means here. This is the outside. This is the WAN. This is the internet connection, connecting to the cloud. Well, if you deny incoming connections to that outside router interface, well, then these customers won't be able to connect to your web servers. So that's just a silly answer right there. We don't want to do that. And plus, it's not going to help with the problem. The BYOD users would still have connectivity to the web server or web servers. So that's no good. And then disable the physical switch ports. Well, first of all, we only have one device. We don't have another switch because the company could not afford to buy a separate switch. But if we have one of these all-in-one wireless router / switches, that might not even have the ability to disable physical switch ports. And then, if it did, what are you going to disable? The web server ports? Well, if you do that, then they're not going to be able to access the network, and no one's going to be able to access them. So there's really no reason to, that would stop the BYOD users from connecting to it, but it would stop everyone from connecting to those web servers. So disabling the physical switch ports, that's not going to work. We don't want that. We don't want this. We don't want this. And, the HTTP port, changing that could work, but not the best answer for multiple reasons. So the answers here, create a server VLAN and create an ACL for access to the servers. If you don't already, you should be working on some devices out there, all-in-one devices, Cisco devices, devices from other companies like Netgear or TP-Link or Linksys or whoever, those all-in-one routers, and really get into the security of those. And if you can work on some Cisco devices, that would be great too, some little bit higher level devices to see all this stuff in action. That's really what you want to do. Figure out how to create server VLANs, how to see how you can create DMZs and how to do port forwarding, how to create ACLs, allow and deny ACLs in the command line, or just within the GUI, that too. So really try to get your hands on any of these devices if you can. You can find cheaper, older ones on eBay or other places that have most of these concepts. They might not have the latest interface, but the concepts are there. So definitely work on this stuff to help you with the Security Plus exam, Network Plus exam, even the A Plus exams, and other exams, and most importantly, to help you in the IT field so you know how this stuff really works. So that's it for the tech question of the day. I'm Dave Prouse. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me at my site, davidlprouse.com, and thanks for watching.